where I am in Malotwana is I bought from an opposition guy. He said to me, I can sell you this piece of land, but I'm not gonna vote for you. But you can have it.
You don't take privilege. You don't like privilege. I have noticed something. I'm from what you are saying.
Just ask like anybody else. Get rejected, get given. So the land boards were operating, were quite dismal in
That you of the hand.
If you maybe drop out from 5 and then you abandon, you're going to be in trouble. You must continuously educate yourself. Even me outside university, I have to continuously read.
I want you to open it. Yeah, you might be surprised what's inside. Yeah, the sharp edge. How much would you spend on it?
A couple of thousands, man.
Don't say too much. What if other people will say that? Nah, I don't want to.
Politics, you'll be running a dangerous game if you don't prepare yourself.
It's like 50-50.
I think they had a fallout with the president, which I didn't see. I didn't see it. UB was great. UB was great. Just like in a Kgatleng system where there's no vote at the Kgatleng, but you can generally pick up the general consensus of people. You find that gentleman, I got arrested. I just passed through the police car was parked, so the police readily saw that that's a case.
They know. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're back, and this time around, I have got a very interesting guest. So first, let me welcome myself and my guest to our 4th episode. We are on the 4th episode of Aerospray BW, and the guest I have today happens to be my chief. He's actually the brother to our main chief of the tribe of Bakgatla in Kgatleng district. He also happens to be the Minister of Trade, and he also happens to be the Member of Parliament for the past 5 years from actually where I grew up, in fact. And he goes by the name of Hon Mmusi Kgafela. Honorable, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, and good morning. It's a pleasure to
It's been a while since we got to sit down and talk,
yes.
and I've been trying to get you on for the longest of times.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad that you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'm also glad that you're here. We are here. This is my office for purposes of campaign in Boseja. We set it up hastily during the time immediately after Bulala. Yes, it was after the primary elections. We set it up
I believe that it was delayed a lot. Also, the primaries.
Yes, they were delayed. Challenges beyond my knowledge, but I did pick up here and there from His Excellency that they met up with a lot of technological challenges and so on. But here we are. We've gone through it, and when the constituency got delimited to become Kgatleng Central.
So now we have 3 seats now.
We have 3 seats now in Kgatleng. I was very happy to come and join the people of Boseja. For a long time, when I was an MP in Mochudi West, I used to serve them because they came to me with the knowledge of the advantage of having the knowledge of fighting for human rights as an attorney. I don't think it was in any way belittling their own MP, but I'll talk to him and tell him that the people from here in Boseja are coming to me. So I was quite receptive of them because sometimes you need to help people in some of the details which are challenging them in life.
That's interesting. Yeah. People would approach you with even the problems that are beyond, because you're also part of the royal family.
Yes.
In fact, you are actually. I mean, when we introduce ourselves, they will ask us, "What's our guy?" And you are Kgafela yourself.
Yes.
So I think the entire tribe comes to you. I remember even my late father, when he had something, he went to the Kgatleng Fest.
Yes.
He went to the Kgatleng Fest before. So there is that. How does it feel, starting your journey from growing up part of that family and then going into schooling, and then after that you went into law, and then politics afterwards?
Yes. No, I can trace my beginnings here in Mochudi. I was in kindergarten at a crash called just behind Lavas Rock.
Okay.
Lavas Rock was a famous bar where many of our who are now much elderly at present, in the evening years of their lives, used to entertain. So the crash was just behind it, a walking distance from home. I used to walk there with my childhood friend. His name is Duma Boko. So that's where I spent a year, and then from then my parents took me to. The 4 of us. We were born 4 in the family. First one being our sister. Kgatleng. Then our brother, who's now kgosikgolo Kgafela. And then came my other brother who are coming immediately, and I'm much closer to him than all others in the family because of the age difference is just 2 years.
Oh.
Bakgatla Kgafela, he's a farmer, he's a businessman,
I believe he has a lot of trucks as well.
He's an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. He went to school. He did accounts, and he worked for the Bank of Botswana for a bit. He got exposed to business, and he fell in love with it. And he left formal employment, and really something which is very encouraging, and urge a lot of other Botswana to employ themselves. So he was very bold. He decided that he's quitting a Bank of Botswana. There was a lot of noise around it. People saying he's taking a big risk. He shouldn't do that. He spoke to me as his younger brother. I encouraged him. Said,
this was during where you were still practicing law at the time?
No, I think he did that. I must have at the tail end of my law studies.
Oh, okay.
I think I was still.
How was it actually, UB?
UB was great. UB was great.
Was there GS26 at the time?
GS26 was there. I came to UB, first I came from outside the country in Zimbabwe. O-level in Zimbabwe was done at Form 4, not at Form 5.
Yeah.
Because they had a further studies of A-levels. You'd start A-levels at Form 5 and then complete them at Form 6. We called it lower 6 and upper 6. It was our schooling at
because there you were to do AS and A2 as well.
Yes, I was studying at a college in Eskodini in Zimbabwe called Falcon College. It was a boys' school, an international school. So when I reached Form 4, ultimately I knew that I should go to university. So the sooner the better. I had the option of doing A levels. I thought, it's not going to be much of a value to me if it's extra 2 years of cost to my parents, because this was a private school which they were paying. To pay with cattle, we used to round up cattle on horseback. With my that's where the passion of horses came from, because those horses.
Do you still
ride
even now?
Yeah, those horses did a lot of work. It was back in the years when it wasn't so usual to ferry cattle in trucks. The usual thing was to take them to the train, and the train would pick them up in Atisha. So from the cattle post to the train, you had to track them. So that's when horses worked a great deal. We would track them with horses. So they paid out of cattle, my parents, and they took us through school. So I thought I can't waste any more of that additional 2 years of school fees the government of Botswana was offering to assist. And so that's how I then got into UB. Soon after I did. Of course, I went to Ross Chaba in Khanzi, served in Khanzi.
It was for 1 year, isn't it?
Was 1 year.
Do they still do that now?
No, it stopped. I think two intakes after we left Ross Chaba, it then came to an end.
But it was a very good initiative.
I think it was a good initiative.
Like you are serving, instead of like other countries, you go and serve the military. Here, we are doing it in a very
social work.
Yeah.
You get assigned. You
make some bonds in the community.
At an early age, you start living independently of your parents.
And it's also an experience. Like in the working in the environment nowadays. If you go apply for things, they ask you about experience.
Yes.
And then that, I believe you had gotten a lot of connections there as well when you were with the community.
I fell in love with Khanzi. I almost didn't come to university because I was in the environment of livestock. I was dealing with cattle. I was in the veterinary department. And I had passion for it. I still have a passion for veterinary work. I still have a passion for cattle and just general welfare of animals.
We actually got an organization, Animal Assist Botswana Trust Foundation.
Yes.
You should even come by one of the days.
Even special the Society for the Prevention of
BSPCA.
Yes, I donate there also.
BSPCA and us have see, the thing with BSPCA is they euthanize animals if they can't find them a place. So when we established Animal Assist Trust Foundation of Botswana, the chairman is called Stacy, and then we were totally against the euthanization of them. We even said, like, look, if you can't take care of them, then like let them go, but don't bring them, then kill them. That was a bit unfair. And it's mainly, there's a lot of women that are part of it. It's like even the chairman and everything, it's mainly women run organizations.
Yes,
But we work together with them now. We made amends and everything is fine. I'm not really the main person there. I'm just like a small person in the thing. I have like you said, you love cattle and farming and like that. I love cats. You know, I love having cats around me all the
I
time.
love cats too.
Is it?
Yeah.
So we might see some there up
yes.
the hill. You know.
I've got a cat at home. My little daughter loves cats. I went to the kelp post to my neighbor at the kelp post had a very lovely cats which loved people, and I told her about them, and she just could not get off my neck on them. So I went and fetched a kitten. She loves it so much, but I've taught her how to clean it because it's got to be clean all the time.
If you bring it to animal assist, we neuter them also. We neuter them so that because we don't want them to be many strays in the street.
No, I castrated it too, so that if you when you castrate a cat, it lives longer, it becomes more loyal.
Yeah.
More loyal. It does it. Yeah, the chap occasionally gets out of the house and he comes with a snake.
Snake.
Yes,
snake.
But he's disciplined. He doesn't drag them into the house.
Okay.
And I'll see him around the swimming pool, with a snake.
You've never had an incident where he brought a live bird, killing it in the house?
No.
He doesn't. I've got 7 at home, and sometimes they will catch a bird. We've given them food, but they have that natural instinct of hunting. So even if you give them food, they will hunt for fun. They will hunt, because it's from the lion's family. The felines are like that. So I once tried to look up your ministry to find out, before the interview, to find out information about it, and I realized something. And it's like even the websites for the ministry were down. And it reminded me of something that I wanted to bring up with you, because when I was still in Moscow, I think some months ago, and I had to come back. And before coming back, I wanted to inform CAB. I was coming with an FPV drone, so I emailed them on the official emails. I got no reply. It took me 3 months, 3 different emails. I had to reach out on Facebook. That's when someone, the personnel for licensing, then replied. And even then, I didn't get full information. When I came back and I called, that's when they said, okay, even though CAB has a website, and I know it doesn't fall under yours, but even your ministry, even if you look at SIPA is doing a very good job. Back in my time when I was in Naledi Senior, for Maths and Science project, I had invented something, and BUST took it. BUST was, I think, 1 year old at the time. So the judging panel were from BUST, and they decided to take it. But they took it as a teaching aid, but they didn't inform my school. So my headmaster called BUST and said, you guys, you're not allowed to take this. And then he told me, go to SIPA. That's when I first heard of SIPA. And at the time, there was no online website or anything. I know I'm taking a bit long, but I'll get to the point.
Time is ours. We're in no hurry.
So when I went to the SIPA, where Commerce Park is, right? You know where Gims City is? The SIPA offices used to be somewhere there. Yeah. And then I went there. And you know what they told me, sir? They told me that if you want to patent your design, it'll cost you 3,000 pula and it'll take 3 years. And then now SIPA, it takes a couple of weeks, and it's way less now. It's not even 3,000 pula. They have a patent officer, a resident patent officer now. Because I remember I made something this time and I went to patent, and they were like, no, now it's not 3 years. So I appreciate that from that agency. But when it comes to also other things, like when it comes to, there's a lot of youth who have companies. I have a lot of friends who tell me that we've been paying accountants. Our companies might be dead also, but for it to keep, like, to show on SIPA, we still have to pay annually, and it seems a bit unfair for the youth. I mean, I'm saying, yes, businesses and corporations definitely have to, there should be a fee structure that is different, not same for everyone. Corporations should have a different fee than the youth, especially the young Botswana who are starting now. Because for them to afford 1.5 and, pay another accountant, then do all of these things, it becomes a lot, So do you think that we can see some change in that area?
I'm obviously, the appointment of ministers is a prerogative of the president. At this moment, we don't know who's going to go into cabinet. But even if you're out of cabinet, for whatever assistance we can render, we will render. And it's my commitment and the determination to ensure that, especially in the media space and the showcasing of what government does, what ministers do, ministries, and what other people do, it's got to be showcased a lot more. You got to leapfrog, double it, quadruple it. In this past session or this past term, we haven't been doing well when it comes to that space.
I believe you had 2 portfolios in the past 5 years?
Yes, I've had 2 portfolios. My first one was infrastructure and housing development, as it then was. It was also good. It's sometimes it depends also on your chief public relations officer. When I got to infrastructure, I found the current chief at health, Christopher Nyanga. That guy is phenomenal, I tell you. I found a situation where people were not working so well. They were afraid. They didn't have access to ministers. There was a bridge.
This is 2019.
When I got there,
okay.
There was a bridge, and I think it really retarded a lot of skillful people who could have.
Like they went back.
No, they were there, but they were unable to showcase their skill because there was this retardation. I immediately sensed it when I got to the Ministry of Infrastructure and Housing Development. I came from the private sector, and I've not operated in an environment where there's a sense of importance above all others of a single person or a few. I've always felt that even the cleaner is important.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I opened up doors and made access. I had a fight with my with my permanent secretary then. It was just unusual.
Do you get to choose them, or it's the president?
No, the permanent secretaries are a choice of the president. They're not. We ministers. We ministers don't legislatively. They're appointed by the president. So Christian Anga couldn't access. I called him. I called him to my office, and I'd want him to help me here and there. I could see his talent. He was way ahead in terms of what he was doing, and I was really feeling the service from him. So I'd occasionally call him into my office to ask him one or two things about the ministry, wanting to maybe give audience to a media personality or something. And I would need some information. But I found that access to the minister was difficult. Then you had to go through rigorous procedures through the permanent secretary and give reasons to the permanent secretary why you want to see the minister. You'd spend time vetting.
Would it even reach you? Like, would you even know that so many people wanted?
I discovered while I was there. There's so many people because I would give out my number. Outside the office, I'd meet people. They greet me. I give it out to them because I don't have a problem in people calling me. I had a way in which I had a lot of people who flanked me, who could assist me to deal with phone calls, so that I don't become the one who always responds. I'd see a phone call, I'll maybe not answer it, and I would ask one or two people to return it and get details because I would avoid having to be on the phone for too long. Otherwise, you become a switchboard. You can't be a switchboard as a minister.
And sometimes people are even just talking something that is,
things that you are not circumstanced.
It'll be a waste of your time to just be entertaining each and every.
You forget because they'll call you when you're not circumstanced to deal with the issues. Because properly deal with people's issues, you got to write them down. You got to put them in a position where you can follow them up.
I remember even when we had that meeting, you were writing a lot of things. I don't know what but you wrote a lot.
This I was taught. I was taught when I was a lawyer. I was taught this by those who were teaching me how to work. And I owe my skills a great deal to my elder brother. He used to be very sharp. He still is, but you don't practice, you start rusting. I joined him and I became a lawyer under him.
So kgosikgolo is a lawyer?
He's a lawyer, yes.
Oh. Okay.
So we practiced together for some years, but as we went along in the law firm, he stopped doing the legal work. He became the administrator of the firm. So as a result, he did less and less court work. Court work is like clinical work. You've got to read every day. You've got to read every day. You've got to see what other courts are doing.
Laws are keep updating. New bills come out.
You really need to pay attention, attention a great deal. So the moment you start, it's like a chief justice. Chief justices often are not the best of judges because they deal with administration, and when the occasion comes for them to deal with a case, you immediately see that he's rusted. Even Unity Dow, I sat with her in Parliament. She was a member of our party, and we used to.
She was specially elected, right?
She was specially elected. So when we were in Parliament, we as a team would work together. We'd work together. I also noticed that she had also rusted because I would throw an issue at her, and I would have made my mind on it, but I wanted her buy in. She would take a long time to understand it.
But this is your field.
This is our field, yeah. This is our field. She would take a long time to understand it. I would meticulously break it down for her because I wanted her buy in. That's when I noticed that being away from it. It's like a surgeon who keeps away from the theater.
Patients,
it's very dangerous that you you then send that surgeon to perform any surgery. You got to practice it. So I noticed that her term, in the 2 terms in Parliament, she really wasn't dealing with the law. So it occurred to me that she really rusted. Somebody who's switched on, you throw an issue at them, they pick it up immediately, and they know exactly what you're talking about.
Were there debates where after going on there, when you were in front of each other, like were there any time when you had to face each other?
No, we've never really had to face each other. We were, she left us in the tail end of her term.
Oh, okay.
So there was never occasion for us to be pitted against each other.
I read an article that she became a backbencher after some time. I think I don't know what happened, but apparently, I mean, obviously there's always 2 sides to a story, but I read just a few articles, and it was something like,
Yeah, I don't know why she became a backbencher. She sat with us in cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't pick up cracks at the beginning, but as we went along, I started picking up cracks. She would disagree a great deal in Parliament with the leader of the House, which is the Vice President, Slamba. She would disagree with him. Yeah, I too, there were occasions when I found him not to be doing things right. But we are led. We are led. And when you are led, you got to subject yourself to the leadership. You can't, because you disagree with the leadership, then go off path and go decide to take it alone.
Is there an internal thing where you have step-by-step guide, like how you deal with it?
We do. We have our own caucus. We discuss it with all members of Parliament in the team. Not everybody will agree, but there's a general, even in the Kgatleng, not everybody does agree, but you can collect a general consensus, the general weight of voices. That's the one which then
is it also democratic within?
It's democratic.
Like you get to vote and then
no, we don't vote. We don't vote. We exchange. But you just like in a Kgatleng system where there's no vote at the Kgatleng, but you can generally pick up the general consensus of people. You find that those who are in opposition to the subject or to the proposition, you can see the few. There are few. But ultimately, there were times when we collectively overruled the VP and said, no, this can't happen. And then you go to His Excellency the President and express our strong opposition to it, and His President would then change his mind about it and say, the democratic process, got to accept what the masses are saying. So
every decision is like that. It's every time it's democratic.
It's a process. So I started picking up cracks. She would disagree. She would raise her voice in a way which I thought was really contemptuous. But these are elderly people, sir. She's an elderly person. I think at the time they were turning 60s, but I think the VP is older. Yeah. I think he's older than her.
The VP is the longest serving member of Parliament, if I'm not mistaken.
But it wasn't on account. I don't think it was on. I wasn't looking at it from the point of the age difference. I don't think is that much. I thought maybe also being contemporaries by age, almost the same. It becomes difficult when somebody is of your age, then they become your senior. You're a senior in an organization. So they would have heated exchanges when we would spectate and watch, and the cracks were there. They were there. They were increasing every day. Times when we would have taken a position which would have been supported, and when we discuss it in Parliament and a vote must be taken, she would walk outside. So she doesn't take part in the vote, and so conspicuously would see her. That's what she did. So the relationship started cracking, and then but when she left cabinet, that came as a shocker to me. I wasn't expecting it. I actually heard about it on radio. On radio, I think it was about lunchtime. I just heard that she's not there. So when I met up later with my colleagues, thought they would be in the know-how. Some were in the know-how. I think I was the last to know.
Were you not like on speaking terms or something? Because I think you guys are from the same.
She keeps her cards to her chest. She will never tell you what's really happening. She's that kind of person. So after that, I asked her what happened. Why are you out of cabinet? She said to me, it's too much work. It's too much work. A lot of people who were in cabinet became healthy people when they left. They had non-communicable diseases. Because of the stress. So she said it's way too much work to me. I didn't think it was true. I think they had a fallout with the president, which I didn't see. I didn't see it coming. I think they had a fallout. But that's the official answer she gave to me, that it's too much work. Other people in the village asked me, and what's going on there?
She's also Bakgatla.
Yeah, she's a Bakgatla. They asked me, man, what's going on there? I didn't have an answer. I could only give the official one, which she gave me. She says, it's too much work.
Yeah.
Just the same way when she left the High Court, she was a Bakgatla lady. Then suddenly
she
we
did
heard
a lot of impressive work at the time, though.
And she left the High Court. I asked her, why have you left the High Court? She says she's going to lecture in the USA, greener pastures there, better. She wants to be away from the court environment. Up to now, she's not gone to, she never left the country to go and lecture in the US. So I picked up that she doesn't really want to tell you the real truth about her movements. It's her right. She doesn't have to tell you if she doesn't. If she wants to give you a particular official answer which is not true, so be it. Even when I was standing for elections, I picked up immediately that
I think before you was I forgot Lifika's father. What's his name? Red Davis.
Yes.
Red Davis. I think it was him, right? And then after that, oh wait,
Davis was on the west, in the east, yeah.
Yeah, you were on the
west.
West. Oh, okay. But he had already passed on, right? By the time, because I think you started 2018. Because I remember even my dad was your supporter. I had a letter. You know how I had your number? Because I found it in his thing.
Okay.
I didn't have to. You never even asked me where I got, because I have your law number. And then I got your other one later on. Just on Saturday, I got your other one as well.
I never ask people, sir. I get strange calls, and I get to meet people through a phone call. I get to know who they are.
No, I never called you because I didn't want to call you because I didn't want to make it like random calls people do. So that's why even today I didn't call you. I wanted to make sure that your people call you because it's better. Even as a minister, you get a lot of people that you see in a day. You're not gonna remember sometimes, and if people just start calling you and saying this and that, you might get frustrated also sometimes.
But the occasions when I get frustrated are very limited. It's when somebody is really harassing me. There are people, economic people who feel economically hard done. They would harass me. At the beginning I'd tolerate, but as it goes on, it just gets over.
Because at one point, they're just asking you for stuff, and then you realize that sometimes they're even talking about a problem that doesn't even fall under your ministry. And then they are wanting you to do something, so it can become overwhelming.
They want me to handhold them, sir. Some people apply for land board, or they apply for water rights, and they want me to handhold them in that application. Some apply
our Kgatleng land board.
Yeah, in Kgatleng. It is those that are that at times get frustrated, but I never express it to them. But it gets on my nerves, when somebody wants me to handhold them. When you are able-bodied, you are young, you are somebody of average intellect, you can do it. Why should the MP handhold you in it?
I think because you're also part of the royal family, so
effort, the culture of doing it yourself and making an attempt without, people must get used to it. But there are some who apply for government programs and they get rejected for one reason or the other, and reasons being communicated to them. Yes, and then they want me to have a second bite at the cherry now, hand holding them, but they would not have revealed the reasons for the rejection to me. And then when we do get a second bite at the cherry where I would have agreed, then the reasons are revealed, and I'm told by authority that you gave your the gentleman or lady you are coming with, you gave them reasons, just hoping that maybe perhaps my presence could overturn the rejection and convert it into an acceptance. So those calls, they do at times they do frustrate. But when you're a leader, you can't be angry. You can't afford to be angry.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You can be angry at home at the end of the day when you're reflecting on the day's work. Yeah, be angry, but sleep it over. Next day, face it again at daybreak. Face it again. You should know that.
Do you never get that burnout? When you are just like, you just put everything and you don't want to talk to anyone, and then.
Yeah, well, when that happens, usually I then stop taking calls, and I sleep it over.
Is there a specific hobby that you have that you use to cope with the anxiety and all the stress of this work?
I ride horses, but increasingly because of time constraints, I'm not doing so. I get into the field on horseback, and it makes me feel a great happy, and I enjoy teaching my kids also that.
But I believe he's in boarding right now.
So, yeah, my elder son is in boarding school. So my daughter is the one who lives with us now. So, I remember my late mother used to say, she's going to be turn up to a very spoiled child. You're the only one in the home. But she's too young to go to boarding school, so she's still at primary school. So when I teach them and her cousins and friends, when they come through and I teach them how to write, that gives me pleasure.
I've heard a lot of good reviews. We'll talk about it behind the scenes,
Yeah, when you see kids grasping something which not many people grasp.
But one
it's like
thing,
teaching your son how to drive.
You've started teaching him already.
Well, he's not of age yet, but
when you put them on the lap and you give them a little bit of control.
I've attempted before, and I thought he was not yet mature enough.
Parking lot.
No, it was in the cattle post.
Yeah, it's open,
ungazetted roads, on private roads.
My dad started when I was 10. Like he put me on his, and he's like, no, and I was scared, and he's like, this is how you learn.
I too learned as a kid. There's an old man here in Kgatleng. His name is Mabina. He was my old man's old man used to send him around a great deal. He was like a brother to me, much older though. Old enough to be my father, but he was like a brother to me when all my siblings had gone to boarding school. So he's the one who came through, and my late father used to send him around. So he taught me how to drive. And I got arrested in Sinoche. It was so conspicuous because I passed the police. The police are my friends now. Guys who arrested me, they're my friends.
Okay.
So one I met when I'd gone for a funeral in Suruwe. He's retired. And the other one, I don't know where he is. But they became my friends when I became an adult. But I was a kid, so it was
How old
noticeable.
Were you at the time? How old were you?
Man, I was a kid. I must have been
like a teenager. Did you
18s.
just take the keys? Like, no, you don't tell anyone.
I was with him.
Oh, you?
Yeah, I was with him. We used to go in. My late father kept his horses at a holding, so we used to go in and feed them.
Oh. So were you not scared? The horses at a young age. Were you not scared of them?
I started riding in 1984. I've been used to horses since then.
Like, I mean, horses sometimes they get angry, and horses are big. How do you deal with them?
You got to be confident. A horse can sense. It can sense your emotions.
Oh,
yeah, it can sense when you're afraid. It can sense when you have a sense of impression of inferiority. It can sense when you're not confident. But it can also sense when you are a person of when you're in authority. I used to see my father. When we handle horses, they reacted very differently to him. Some will become extremely nervous, but with us, the kids, they would nib on us, threaten you. When a horse,
do you also feed it like with
your hand? It rolls its ears. It rolls its ears when it's coming to bite.
Oh,
so when a horse does that to you, it's a sign that it feels superior to you.
Oh,
yeah. So obviously, when you're a kid, a horse feels superior to you. So it can roll its ears back and...
Do you run, or what do you do?
Yeah, we run. We were kids. It will then, threaten you, nibble you a bit with its lips, but never really bite. But nibble you, but it to really show its superiority over you. So even adults, some people who bring along to go and ride with me, and the amateurs, they're not when they're scared. I can see when I get to my holding that these horses can sense that this person is scared. Even when you're riding it, it can sense your emotions. It also frightens it. It becomes scared when you're not confident. It too becomes not confident. When you're leading a horse or you want to cross a particular obstacle or a bridge, you've got to show the confidence, nudge on it for it to respond and cross. But if you're afraid, it too becomes afraid, and then it can't cross the bridge. Sometimes are thin bridges where you have to cross over water stream.
It's like the connection between man and animal.
Man and animal. Or you come to a water stream which a horse doesn't know, sees it for the first time, doesn't know how deep it is.
That's where the saying comes from. You can take the horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink.
So if you are also not confident, you're gonna frighten it. So it loses.
Does it do that thing where it jumps and then you fall down?
No, it will not back with you. It will not back with you, but it will show a lot of resistance. But when you're confident about it, and it can sense you on its back that you're confident, it really believes that you can't send it into danger. It must be safe, and then it will cross.
Maybe one of the days I need to record you in your farm.
Yeah,
I want to see you on the horse.
So this gentleman, I got arrested. I just passed through the police car was parked. So the police readily saw that that's a kid.
They noticed.
It's a kid. I put pillows to elevate myself so I can see. So they immediately turned around. They gave a chase. I tried to beat them at it. They were in a Land Cruiser 4.5, and I was driving a 1400 Nissan. No match at all. In no time they had got around.
And they get angry because you were running also. They were even more angry.
Yeah. So Mavina tried to say he too didn't have a license.
Oh,
yeah.
Even as an adult.
Yeah, he tried to put up a face and said, "No, I'm teaching him. Tried to say, "Nah, it's a kid. We can see him. We don't have to see papers. He's a kid." So we stopped. They took the car.
They took the car.
Yeah, they took the car, and later on they charged my old man.
Oh,
they charged my old man.
But they didn't because you were the chief's son also, so they didn't just No,
I got use your privilege. I got to learn later that he paid the fine.
Oh,
he paid the fine. I think it was 300 pula at the time.
Wow, that is so good. There was a time when I was also very young, and I remember we used to stay at Rampedi, and my dad had a blue Ford, and he was like, it was a manual, and he was like, no, we went to the farm to get some chickens, and he was like, no, you're gonna drive, and he forced me to sit alone. That was the first time, and they were not even in a marked police car. I remember it was on a gravel. It was not even a tarred road. It was in a gravel on the way to the farm, and they saw me, and I don't know how do they realize that this person is a child. I don't know what lens they use. They turned around also. They stopped us and they fined us also. But I started crying. I started crying, and then they were even like they were even like wanting to let me go. But I think they fined my father afterwards.
No, but I learned how to drive under his eye.
He's still around.
He's still around. He's quite old. He's quite old. Hard of hearing now, but
you visit him. You still
I visit
talk about
him.
The stories.
I visit him. He's now got a license. I got to learn from him that he got a license. But he's the one who taught me. Like I say, he was a brother, in the stead of my own blood who were not there. So he's the one who taught me how to ride horses. Really, we spend a lot of time together. He was a very passionate guy. Even on a horse's sake, he would give you so much time. If a horse got injured, he would give you so much time. He'd come around 4 o'clock. He'd say, "Hey man, we gotta go and dress. We gotta go and dress this horse." We did a lot of things together. He really raised me because I think my parents were quite busy. As parents, when they get busy, they have little time for kids. So he's the one who. But what he used to offend my parents with a great deal was to take me out to the quarry. He would take me out to the quarry. I was a kid, and my mother was expecting me to be home, to bath and prepare to go to school. And he drank chibuku. He drank chibuku. He drank Lion Lager when you're still there. So he'd be entertaining, and my mother would be very anxious as to why I'm not at home. My father would be very anxious, but he would come so late, stone drunk, but drop me off, and
he was a responsible person.
He was a responsible, but he offended. They used to not like it. He would go around to the quarry, and they would say, you have gone around to drink chibuku.
But now, as you're a parent also now, I think you can now relate to what they were feeling.
Yeah, I can relate. When a child is school going and are not at home, and it's already dark.
Did they administer some punishment?
That guy never, not a single time.
No, I mean to you for going with him. Did they administer?
No, they knew that it was not my fault. I was a kid. And I was with him in the Land Cruiser. Land Cruiser, those old 3Fs.
Yeah, I remember those ones.
So, there were no cell phones then. They would look around, they would ask around where we were. So you could not locate people. They would be anxious. And they would come back around 10 o'clock and say they'll find them waiting.
Something, it reminds me of something. When you mentioned your dad, and I was, I think there's a rumor that when the country got independence at the time, that because Bakgatla was one of the biggest tribes, you remember that even your brother, even that side, there's like almost 300,000 Bakgatla that side as well. And then that on this side, your dad was one of the person who was going to get something in the executive branch. And then he was sent somewhere, like he was offered something, a diplomatic post instead in the USA. Yeah. So I was, when I was told this, I mean, I'm very young, so I was not alive to witness any of that. And my history is the history that was written. So I didn't read much about it. I was told about it by Bakgatla, you know, my teachers and my elders and them. And they were like, do you know that there would have been a time where if things had been a bit different, we would have the executive from Kgatleng. You know? But I mean, in a way, we are still there because you are a cabinet minister.
Yes.
And you are part of the same. You are your father's son.
Yes.
So you are there. I mean, you know. But tell me more about this thing. Is it true?
I'm not so sure because you know my old man was most active in the late 60s, in the 70s. I wasn't born yet, so I'm not privy to you know the going ons of that time. But what I know is that I think like all the Kgosi around the country, they felt a great deal that there was an encroachment upon the authority. Things were changing. I did pick up here and there from his own speeches that he wasn't so pleased with how things have come out. But he had accepted it. I've heard other speeches of his where he accepted that we are now a republic and there's now political leadership. And there was an occasion when he got sent to the USA to become our ambassador. You know, Bakgatla alleged that it was government's way of getting rid of him.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
It's arguable. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not true. But that's what Bakgatla
I mean, he had
alleged.
a lot of influence.
Yes, they say you know he was a threat because of influence that he had. So the government of the day needed to neutralize people into falling behind a republic and not falling behind a tribal authority. So that's why they then plucked him out of the tribe and sent him to the USA to be away. That's what they allege. But he then came back. When he got here, immediately he was sent to the Customary Court of Appeal. Again, they allege that there was another way of making sure that he's away from the tribe. Gave him national work, which is going
But there was someone in his place here.
Yes, you'd appoint. At first, it was our grand uncle Hon Mmusi, the one I'm named after. He said, and then when he got old, and got Kgosi Mothibe to stand in for him. He passed away, or Kgosi Mothibe was still standing in for him. So those allegations are there, but as to whether he was destined to become part of the executive, that I'm not privy to. I've always known him to have taken a position that he's not going to get into politics. A chief mustn't get into politics.
Was that his teaching to you guys as his next generation as well?
I never, like I said, I think when I never spoke much about. In any event, I didn't know much about politics, so I would not even, introduce the topic. And he never, discussed it with us. But I knew during the elections of the time that he took that position that he's not going to vote, he can't influence, he can't do much.
No wonder even because this guy, when I speak to him about this thing, he doesn't like. He says that I cannot be political. He also
says he can't be political. Yeah. But I became political. But I'm at the tail end of the hierarchy. Which I'm not close. Very tail end, very far.
You are the younger brother to the
youngest.
The youngest, yeah.
Yeah, no prospects of ever taking up a leadership, traditional leadership. I've always known myself to be that.
And you were
distant.
A practicing lawyer also.
Practicing lawyer. I made it clear to my kids that they should never think that they.
That is something that is commendable, because I've heard that even the BX that's parked there by your place, you wouldn't just even though it's your privilege, it's your family's privilege, but you run a tight ship.
Yeah,
you don't let things like that get to people's head, especially your kids. You raise them very humbly, which is commendable actually. Which is something that you don't brag about. You don't go around telling people that look at me, vote for me because now I'm humble. You don't say that. But us, we can see. Some of us who have seen, we know that you do that. In fact, even when it came to, I remember when I had to invite you to the it was the first one of the blood drive, I think.
Yes.
And it was like, it is the inaugural one, it's our first one, but you still accepted our invitation. Even though you were called by, I think you went to Kasani or something. There was something. And then we met again at Ray Kengop's, was it the memorial or the funeral? I forgot.
Yes,
so then I remember you were explaining to me, but I was just trying to tell you, like, we had another project for road safety.
Yeah.
And I even told you about that. We've come full cycle from driving without a license to now pushing for road safety. And I actually got a lot of hate for doing that. I was on national television trying to promote road safety, and the comments, I had like 200 comments of people just saying, "Gore, you have race privilege." And I was trying to explain to them that, because there was a story I was saying that, we should we should also consider the police point of view. People are, the officers are frustrated. Imagine you are at a roadblock, and then the officer is going to ask you, "Tarabana license."
Yeah.
And then when you are like, "Oh, I can't remember." You look at them and then you start giving them that side eye thing, and that's a human being also. That's a constable. Yes, he's a constable, but he's a human being. Now if you tell him, if you look at him like that, he's also has feeling. And imagine he has to see 100 people a day, and when you see him once. So if you do that, of course he's gonna retaliate now. And then people complain that no, the police are not treating us right. My man, greet them nicely, talk to them nicely. They will treat it. And that's what I said on TV as well. And then the people were like, no, they treat you differently because you look different. And that's how it is. But
when I was still a practitioner, I used to walk into police office of police offices at night. Coming to commission affidavits. At almost invariably in Gaborone, Broadhurst. I'd find them angry people.
Yeah.
During Kama's time, it was during Kama's reign at the time. The civil service, including the police. I just found them angry people. All faces sullen, morose. I'll be really pleading when affidavits commissioned.
Sometimes they just someone at that side and then don't talk to me, and they'll just say weird things.
Sometimes they don't commission them correctly. When I try to correct them, they become impatient. Say, "Man, get out. We have done our work. Get out."
Yeah.
But I don't understand why police were really angry. But it looks like there's improved there. Not as angry as before.
Even our news station commander, I think he came this year, Mr. Masilo. He's a very chill guy. It's very amazing. In fact, he's the one who insisted that I deal with the DC's office when I was doing, because at first we were going to do the road safety campaign alone, but he's like, no, work with the DC's office, get on the committee. And then this year we did the second one at Independence. Our first one was already last year, and I'm so upset that you didn't come.
Yeah,
you didn't come.
Must have been caught up by
because I forced everyone to come. I even told Mr. Masila, I was like, I want someone with that emblem. I don't want just constables. And Mr. Ntupe came. The superintendent Gwamba came. He's the in charge for traffic, I think, in our district. So I forced them. I called him personally and I said, if you don't come, I'm coming to your office and taking you. Because I want, you see, the civilians, the people on the road, when they see that, and they see that even this man, and our campaign was different. It was not the one where they just stop them, give them pamphlets. No, we're giving them free drinks. At first we stopped them. We're like, Mren, how are you? Where are you going? You need a soft drink. If there's kids, we give them something also. Because we wanted them to feel, and it was independence. We wanted them to feel like the officers are there to serve them. Because all this time, this happens throughout the country, the road safety campaigns. But the one year Kgatleng is the only one that is different, and it's the only one. There were people from Statistics Botswana, there were people from Red Cross. Everyone was recording, and they said that last year what we did made an impact, and that's why they encouraged us to do it again this year.
Okay.
And then we are going to do it again next year as well. So I'm really hoping that next year I'd rather come to your house and take you personally. If you don't answer my phone, I'm coming and I'm grabbing you as well. It would be lovely to have the. I think Relebekwe passed by because the first one was at Sankara and the next one was at A1.
I remember.
I always send you the pictures as well. I don't know if you saw them or not.
No, so I remember seeing the one which Relebekwe attended. I remember seeing them.
Even when the Miss Botswana thing was happening, the girls, they have this thing where they have to do a charity program. Like one of their thing, like Lesotho has the foundation and Sebaka had Toronto. Sebaka and I school together.
Okay.
So I told her, no, you're coming to Kgatleng. She came. And at the time also we went to Linsui Junior. That's where I did my junior. It's a special ed school.
Yes.
I took her, we brought like a truckload of clothes for them and everything. So I'm always, whenever I'm doing something like this, I always give opportunity to my leaders. Like, you guys should come. Okay. Maybe you guys should be the one doing the handing over.
Yeah, if I'm returned to cabinet, I wanna try to improve on my engagements.
Especially in Mochudi.
Yeah, especially in Mochudi. Sometimes you need a team to really assist you to become engaged.
But I believe you have a team, right?
This is my first term. I was learning on the job as I went along. I had a team, but they too need to be pushed a bit.
I think you need
to be
youth.
innovative.
I think your team has to be youth.
They need to be innovative also, think outside the box and do things differently. But as I say, I was learning on the job. Sometimes I had to really try to balance things. I'm also a farmer.
You still do it?
Cattle. I keep cattle. Brahman and Cimental. So it's it unsettles my farm workers when I'm not with them for a long time. You know, everybody wants a piece of you. You find that you know, especially when you then are sent to a leadership position, you have no time of yours. I saw my brother when he got inaugurated, Kgosi. You know, I ran side by side with him in a lot of activities, and the poor man didn't have rest. You know, he would go to events in Gaborone, you know, get invited to night events, evening that, come and be a part of a particular ceremony. He was constantly.
And he also had to participate in South Africa as well, right?
Even in South Africa. So we were always on the move, because I used to go along with him where he went. Always on the move. You know, it's a sudden change where you are used to time belonging to you, having a choice as to what you're going to do with your weekend. Once you become a leader, you lose those that kind of liberty. You lose it. You got to give people your time, and you can't give everybody. Some you miss out. I don't want to go to Ministry of Trade. I also got to travel a lot because, you know, it's not.
I know you were at the economic forum. I tried to reach out when you're there, and I couldn't even get a hold of you when I was there also. And so then you went for the, I think this year, you went in the States for the US Africa Summit, yeah. And then last year was here, and you guys were so busy at that time.
Yeah.
You guys are always busy.
We're gonna be even busier in December. Should we win this?
We have the SADC Solar Week. Actually, like, I don't know if I'm gonna get a speaking panel this time because I'm still very young. But can I say, I didn't even tell you. You know, I'm an engineer by profession. I'm an aeronautical, actually the youngest aeronautical engineer in the country.
Okay.
And we wrote our first paper, and this one I want you to look into this, because we wrote our first research paper. Me and Katsu, he's also someone who has a bachelor's only. Okay. We presented it at Botswana's first engineering conference, and everyone there were PhD holders. Okay. No youth. Me and him were the only ones that were. Everyone there was double our age. And I even talked to the chairman of the committee, and that why is it that we are the only guys who are young here? Everyone is PhD, and the fact that we actually got position 3, or people got position 3. So I was even saying that, like, can you see that youth actually has something to contribute? And we got, like, there was so little media coverage. It was at Bust. It was held at Bust at Majestic 5. Also, they had a conference, 3-day event. We had nothing, no politicians, no nothing. It was like, it felt a bit like innovation is not being given priority. Even though I know we recently had this electric car thing, and, you know, I know it's in 3 phases. Even Dada was telling, like, it's, you know, you can't just expect us to have a factory right now and start producing like that. It happens in stages, and I understand that, but can we have more youth with the innovation part? Like, it starts from research, because we are doing research first. And even if it comes to research, we have like 60-year-old, 70-year-old professors doing research, and not
the young ones.
You know, so there's something is lacking here. Something is lacking here.
Yeah. No, you know, sometimes I think working around a program, if things are not programmed, you then miss out. I intend, if I go back to that ministry, to have a program and run strictly in accordance with it. But obviously, the things which come and become superimposed, which are not under your control, like the passing away of people, death is never. We are never given notice of it. You can't put it in a program. So when you have a program, it then gets interfered with by the death of someone that you need to go and pay your last respects to, then gets you off. But I intend to hold town hall meetings, because what I realized in this past term, and it got me into a little bit of a hot soup, is not reporting back to people. I used to try to report through my Facebook page, but you know, people gave me feedback. They said, you know what, the Facebook page is not good enough. You gotta call people.
We don't even have a Facebook page. We just started recently.
You gotta have to call people.
I think no. Social media is important. You need to be on, like, you know, Tsoletsa BDP, or what is it? There's only one page. It's written. It's not Tsoletsa Domkara. It's Tsoletsa BDP. That's the only page. It has less followers than even people like me and my friends. And we're wondering, the youth is on Instagram. The youth is on TikTok. You need youth in your team, because that person knows how to make videos for those platforms. And majority, you know, that we are the Africa is the youngest continent. We have a lot of youth,
young people,
and this elections, a lot of youth are about to be voting. So that's why I was even asking you, like, your team, because you need to have youth. You need to have them.
No, we should improve in that, because, you know, I would get a letter place it on Facebook, but then the feedback I would get is that, that letter, some people are lazy to read, and then sometimes it's a lengthy letter, they don't read it, all of it, so they don't get to know exactly, and they need an explanation of it.
But some of them are village people. So.
Yes, but I'll try to report about our projects.
Okay.
Our project, this is where we are. So to me, this is not a good platform for it. You need to go to the Kgatleng, but the Kgatleng is not easy to organize.
Is it?
It's not easy to organize, but I think when you do town hall discussions, and that you gotta get the right time also where people can come. It's also difficult to get people. Midweek, a lot of people are employed. The feedback I get from people as to why they don't come to Kgatleng is that they're at work. When it comes to Friday, which could be a day to try things, we have funerals in the village, and that's the day when people who are burying on Saturdays would bring their departed, they would bring them to the home for the last night. So that you find that a lot of Friday afternoons are spent on that, and people would say we can't come to a meeting because of this. Saturday morning,
what if you put one date and you publish it that every month this day is my day for my people? Like, back in the day, the chiefs would be sitting, and then, I'm not saying you need to do it like that, but I'm just saying, it's just an idea I want to throw out there. Like once a month, the whole of Kgatleng knows that on this day, if we have problems, there can be a line outside. You can put some chairs outside your constituency office. Everyone can come, and then you can give one day. One day should be enough for them to. And then the next month when they come again, those who have already come the previous month, they can get updates. The new ones can file new things.
Yeah.
And you can have a team with you. You can have a team with you that is also assisting you with this.
But that needs professional advice, because sometimes you get advice from people who are not professional at it. They are amateurs. They don't know how it's done. They've not gone to school for it. They're not experienced. It's from the top of their heads. There's a lot of times where people think they can do a particular piece of job when they try to use their own common sense. But when you have a professional, they can really guide and say, this is how things are done, this is what you're going to do.
Because we don't want it to backfire now.
You don't want it to backfire. You don't want it to not get much attention. So I'm talking to a couple of people. I'll talk to you too. That how best can we assist each other? I'll have to find a budget for it and get a sponsor for it, because these things, people don't work for free.
Speaking of which, I think you need to work on an app for your Ministry of Trade app, on Play Store, on App Store, because I think it's better to reach out like that. I remember during COVID, me and Katso were trying to develop. The government bought from the Chinese guys. We were trying to develop this thing, the sensors, the thermal sensors. We wanted to develop that for the government. We didn't get funding. We didn't even reach the development stage. That's why I said the youth is killed. Like, our legs are cut before we even get there.
Yes.
And that's coming back to B3 falls under your ministry, right?
No, it falls under Ministry of Technology, Information.
Is it?
Technology.
So this electric vehicle thing doesn't fall under yours. I think yours is Investment and Trade Center. And
ours is trade, because Ministry of Trade has its footprints in every other ministry, because every ministry, there's an element of trade. Everybody wakes up in the morning. They wake up to go and trade, because you want to put food on the table.
Exactly.
You got to trade to put on the food on the table. So that's why we're everywhere. We're at BDF. We're at local government.
You remember the Ideas Festival, the Kusi Ideas Festival. We had it, I think, November of last year. And I remember I was doing something regarding research in aviation, and I met someone from Innovation and Trade Center, and I was discussing about there's a lot of that Botswana's. Do you know that Africa's second most busiest airport? You know which one it is? Maun.
It's Maun.
The second busiest in southern Africa is Maun. And I met
the tarmac. It's not good.
Yeah, no, it's because of those small planes, those Cessnas and those Pipers, and the fact that that means we have a market for that industry, but we have one type of. I don't want to say the names of the companies, but you and I both know which companies are running. It's like a monopoly they have over that, But it's not fair. It's not fair, and we need to have young Botswana who are in aviation and whatnot running those things. When either it be maintenance, be it even creating new ones. Because there's a project, I don't want to say it on camera, but there's a project we are working on, and we're trying to develop something new in this field, and we are hoping that when we do reach that stage. We can get some involvement of the government to push it forward, because these people have made it like a monopoly, you know. And we have it's not like we are starting from, you know, most of the young people, they go astray because they are going into a market that there is no market for. You cannot be in Botswana and talking about, you know, selling things on the ocean and, you know, stuff that goes on the ocean, seawater stuff, because we don't have seawater. You need to focus on stuff that's available.
Well, so speaking of what you were telling me about where failures come up, you know, I see causes of failure. Most of the time it arises because we are not connected properly. I experienced it even in, you know, when I was campaigning, and even during the launch preparations, where one hand doesn't know what the other one is doing, and they don't understand fully what it takes, the kind of connection that you need for a particular project to be a success. I will just give you an example about this electric vehicle. His Excellency has asked me to really force other ministries which are involved with it from a scientific point to work with us. A lot of ministries, they come up with a program or a strategy or a plan, but without applying their minds to the trade aspect. Because for it to be sustainable, it's got to trade.
Yes, we need to make money out of it.
You've got to make money out of it. It's got to bring in money. So, you know, B3 went ahead. It was a collective commitment that we will have an electric. We're going green, like the rest of the world. We'll gradually do so. But as they prepared, you know, and time and again, I went up to them. I said, guys,
do you think it's rushed? Do you think it's a bit rushed?
No, it's not. We are delayed. We are greatly delayed about it. You know, we ought to have woken up to it long before it became a global problem.
I think we skipped a step, because hybrid is where we should have gone first before full electric. Because you can't just force people into the full electric thing. There's a lot of people that haven't seen the outside world. You know, Botswana just know the Massimo, and they want to take their car all the way from Gaps to Francistown. With those ranges, they can't. And now if they see that, I know even if you go online, there's a lot of memes about this, and there are people are like, why did they get electric vehicles that are, first of all, so expensive, and we can't afford them? As my Honda Fit is cheaper, and people saying things like that, and I can fuel in 5 minutes. With the electric vehicle, I have to wait 2 hours, 3 hours. So there's these concerns about these vehicles as well.
When I was growing up in the 80s, there were no vehicles in Mochudi. The few families which had them, they were considered to be...
I mean, your family had them, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I found my father had he had one which we call Ayatollah. I think he was a very fond of these freedom fighters. You know?
Ayatollah Khomeini.
He called it Ayatollah, the zebra, had zebra stripes.
Right now, we don't want to associate with them.
But he had an affinity to freedom fighters. That's why he helped a lot of freedom fighters in the region. You know, he housed the ANC, he housed the Chimurenga war fighters. Now, that my mom told me a story before. She says to me that when I was still a kid, I was a baby. I don't know if it was in 1980. Yeah, it must have been 1980.
This was peak apartheid time.
Yeah, even in Zimbabwe, the fight was, I think, 79. I was pretty much a baby. She was carrying me on her back, and you know, she was alone at home, up at the hill, at the Putarigo hill, alone completely. You know, crime was unknown then, and that's why a woman could be alone. But she says all of a sudden, you know, men just emerged.
In the house?
No. Okay. She was outside. I think she was hanging up laundry. She says I was on her back. So men just emerged, you know, from the thickets. She says she was terrified, being a woman with a baby, and with men. These guys, she says they were the most polite people that she's ever come across. They just greeted her, and they told her that they were freedom fighters from Zimbabwe, the Chimurenga fighters, and all they want is to rest and have some food. They've not had food in a long time. So my old man he was one of the few people in the village who could slaughter a cow, you know,
alone.
Whole cow alone. So we had a very large fridge which could take a whole cow. So my mom says she then went out to her storeroom and she took out the 3-legged pots, large ones. She had a lot of them. There was always firewood at home, you know, at home. So she gave them firewood. She gave them baths, soap. So they and pap and so they cook for themselves. They for the first time they took baths, they shaved. They were just refreshing.
Like they were on the track, they were running, they were just moving.
It was during the fight. So she says they were there for 2 days. They never bothered her. She went about. A woman came. He understood. She was a woman. She didn't understand much, but he understood what the course was all about. So he came. She said they were there for 2 days. For 2 days, and on the second day, the way in which they left, because they were secretive people.
Yeah,
they wouldn't announce. So she says they just left abruptly. No word. They just got up and left. So when they woke up in the morning, they were not there, but they had cleaned up everything. But the point she was making was that she got that fright. A man just came in. But Kgosikgolo he supported these people. He used to keep weapons from the ANC at the residence. They named them because they were kids. They didn't want us to know. But they gave them names of vegetables. Vegetables.
So when they are talking, you don't realize what they're
but we
about.
were picked up because we were hovering around as kids. We picked up what they were talking about. They would call.
So like ammunition.
They would give them this. They would give. I think they called hand grenades or landmines. They call them pumpkins. They say the pumpkins have arrived. And then you know that they mean weapons.
Because you don't see a pumpkin, so you know that it's something.
Pumpkins have arrived. So he kept them for them.
Did you ever get to use, learn how to use them, AKs?
No, some were blasted here in the village. There was one particular folk who came by. I think he came at the residence. He asked for food. He was given food because people when they came here, they knew that we would go to the Kgosi. He was given food, but later on in the day, there was a blast in Pilani. I think, I'm not so sure. I think it was a suicide bomb. I think it was a suicide bomb because the story which I got then was that he was wrapped in ammunition, so he was blasted in Pilani.
TNT and whatnot.
Yeah, so that's the only one which I recall. But
I was told that the Chand family, right? Apparently, one of the patrons of their family, back in the day, was tortured. I remember he's buried in Sekwani, if I'm not mistaken. It's they even the remains was you could see that this individual. I think he was fighting also for with the ANC side. I'm not sure which side he was, but I think the family is now in Botswana. I think at the time there was no Botswana, right? So they were moving. They were hiding in Sekwani, and then the ANC, the apartheid police caught them because at the time they didn't respect the borders also because I think because we had newly established the borders after I think 66.
No, they did. They would come into
I think there was an attack. There was an attack in
people,
a bombing, shooting, and to this day the government has not apologized. The neighboring government, they have not said an official apology for that. I saw a documentary recently, and there were pictures of our old, those small yellow painted houses, and then you could see the holes, you could see blood on the ground, you could see old ladies screaming. So they were shooting indiscriminately. They were just killing everyone that side. This was the apartheid government.
Yeah, even an attempt was made on Kgosikgolo. I wasn't born yet. I think my brother had just been born. I'm told my mother was in hospital. She had just been released from hospital to go home. Then him as an infant, the one I follow, Bakgatla. So I'm told, there was a big blast by Mutima Lenyora. Mutima Lenyora, that's where our old man used to entertain, have his drink there. So I'm told he was there. He wanted to leave. And his friends were saying, take another one, take another drink.
Do you think someone in there also is
I think it was just a coincidence. I don't think it was planned. He then tried to leave and they said, no, take another one. So they delayed him. As soon as he then said, now I'm no longer taking another one, I'm going. Just by the entrance of the bars he was working on, that car exploded.
The car?
Yeah, his car exploded.
This is some movie level things. People are doing espionage and what.
So it exploded, and the story which went out immediately was that he was in the car, he was dead. So my mother says, she tells me that she was distraught, she was crying because the story which went up to her was that he's dead. But then it turned out later that no, he wasn't in the car. And then, Rapula's Kgafela was blamed. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a notorious name in Mochudi. Rapula's Kgafela was named as a culprit. You know, he went.
I mean, this is before I was even born, so
I wasn't born too. This was in 1976.
yeah, it's long ago.
So he went through a court process, I'm told, but
So
you know,
the police did not offer security to the family.
no,
to your
chiefs don't.
family,
No,
or-
chiefs even up to now, the chiefs don't have.
No, I mean
Yeah.
in a situation like that where life is at threat, obviously they should.
Well, during apartheid, you know, you couldn't tell who's a threat and who's not. But I think intelligence, the Africans in the apartheid government intelligence, they infiltrated everywhere, and so they would know that there's somebody who's harboring our enemies in Botswana, and they'll send people.
I'm told that even Desmond Tutu, Madiba, and Gandhi were hiding in Lobatse at one point. There was a building there, and like they were there for a day or two, and then immediately somehow the guys from South Africa found out. I feel like they were insiders. There were some insiders, I think.
The intelligence was far. That's why the likes of Albisak doesn't have an arm. You know, Judge Albisak doesn't have an arm. People are sent letter bombs. Were sent this. Yes, you know, in those days you couldn't open a letter because, you know, when you're sent an envelope, you open it, blasts in your face. You're dead. Ruth first died from a letter bomb. You know, a husband to this guy who was a lawyer is representing Mandela. So a lot of people were under threat. So Hosel and Zwe, they attempted on him, but the information which was fed to Bakgatla was that is Rapula's Havansil. So Rapula's
how was the information disseminated? Like, was it radios or newspapers or?
Well, people, you know, people back
word
then,
of mouth.
Word of mouth. Word of mouth.
So there was a lot of fallacies in there also.
Rapula's Havansil, he then disappeared. I'm told. You know, people say he was last seen boarding a train in Pilani, going north, and he's never seen again.
This is like long ago, right?
Long ago, around 76 years.
So still now, no information.
Still now, nobody has seen him. No remains.
He's like Botswana's DB Cooper or something.
His remains have never been discovered. So I think he must have been one of those who the apartheid government got rid of. You know, they will send you to do that dirty work. Once you have done the dirty work, because you know, you know you are a witness, they then destroy you. They then get rid of you. So I think they must have they must have sent him. It may be true that he is the one who was the hand behind the bomb.
Yeah.
But after that, because he knew the secret, that an attempt was made on Kgosikgolo, and he could relate it to the apartheid government.
Could be incriminating.
That's how, you know, nobody else disappears and remains are never seen.
No, I mean, like after, like, as in here now, when you started, I mean, when you were a lawyer, I mean, only a few of us knew about this. When you became a minister, I have noticed that you don't travel with a lot of security even now. Why is that?
Botswana, we are not under threat. Even the president before Masisi, never.
But our current president
takes
a lot of security.
Yeah, we started seeing security with him.
Yeah.
Before then, there wasn't.
During the former time, I remember I used to go to school and I could see him. He was driving that, you know, those old the Range Rovers. He would sit in the front seat himself. 6 o'clock in the morning on the way to the parliament. But now there is an entire motorcade for the president. So that's why I'm wondering why you don't.
Well, I meet a lot of kids in shops and they who born recently, and that's also surprised. They ask me the same question: why are you alone? Why are you shopping?
Yeah.
And our lives are not different from what they were before we became. We became, especially if you have always been a private person. It's very difficult for you to change and become surrounded with security. My colleagues in the region are all got plenty of security 24/7 around them.
But I think even
South
like
Africa,
I remember
I don't need it.
Even but there's also something like I was told this. I don't know how it's like. Apparently, when you are going as a minister, the DC office has to organize a police escort for you, and then the local SP has to be there and all of that. I know it has to be there for when the president is going somewhere. The SP of that district has to be present and all of that. So I think does it apply to you as well? Like when you are going there as an official minister,
in official capacity,
they have to be there.
In our official capacity, government offices arrange, the DC's office arranges. But we don't travel with all the noise. We come unescorted. Me and my driver, or sometimes with my private secretary also in the car. But I've never had reason. If I feel threatened, I can tell the president and ask for security. There are some ministers who were given the security because attempts have been made on them, like
in Serowe. Remember when they burned down?
In Serowe. But if there's no No attempt. But I do know that it's a right I'm entitled to.
Exactly.
There was a time when I did call the police, and they asked me whether what I needed. I can't remember what was happening.
Our police, Mochudi police.
No, in where I stay in Gaborone North.
And I realized something, Chief. You've been living there for a while now, isn't it? So what about our side here?
I've never been. The land board has never given me land here, sir. And I never.
Seriously?
Yes.
You are the chief of the entire place.
Yeah. No land. The only land I got.
So when you don't take privilege, you don't like privilege. I have noticed something. From what you are saying.
Just ask like anybody else. Get rejected. Get given. So the land boards were operating, were quite dismal in the operations. You could apply in 10, 15 years past, no response. So I bought where I am in Malotwana. I bought from an opposition guy. He said to me, I can sell you this piece of land, but I'm not going to vote for you, but you can have it. So I bought at the time and paid him off. And that's the piece of land which I can lay claim to here in Kgatleng.
But I mean, technically, even Putariko Museum is
yours. Yes. That's my brother's residence. In terms of our customary law, most customary law, the youngest son ordinarily takes the residence, but in the royal family, is the eldest son, the one who by customary law is going to be the cause. He's the one who takes it. So my brother has taken up that residence; it's his. So it's a position that we've accepted and we've moved out. But I've always lived there because I never expected to become a leader. There was no reason for me, and I've been comfortable. It's halfway between Mochudi and Gaborone. Easy access to Gaborone, also equally easy access to Mochudi.
And your ministry is also in a prime location these days, so it's
in the CBD.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not very expensive to commit. I think it's expensive when you're commuting from here to Gaborone. Definitely, the distance is longer. People who work there, plenty of Bakgatla, they're using a lot on fuel.
I also come from Gaps to Mochudi.
And distance raises inflation. It's part of the things which raise inflation.
Speaking of inflation, during my schooling days, I remember combis used to be 350, and we used to pay 3 pula as students. And then now I heard it was like 7 pula something. It's like double, and it hasn't been like my long ago is like 10 years. Your long ago is 40 years or something. So I feel like this decade there has been a lot of
increase.
Yeah.
When I was at university, I think because I used to use the bus, it was about 20 pula coming to Gaborone. About 20 pula, I remember.
But now it's.
But I think I have a wish to come and live here in Mochudi.
In Kgatleng.
Yeah, there at the farm. But it means power articulation. It means building, and these things come at some cost.
Now I want us to get to the main part of this.
Yeah.
So this is a mental health podcast. So what we deal with is mental health awareness. This one's yours. And let me give you a plastic. I found this hobby. It's more like art therapy. Spray painting and art. I'm not an artist by any means, but this is like a therapeutic thing. And even like our local media and everything, I got a little bit of fame from there, and then they were like, you know what, you need to teach this to others. And that's when I realized that this is good for your mental health as well. You were talking about you go to the horses, you enjoy that. So instead of people, when they are depressed, instead of getting into drinking, smoking, this other bad habits, you can try a productive habit. You can go to the gym. For some people, it's exercising, sports, horses, farming. For me, it's like this. And now what I realized that there are a lot of Botswana out there who have this issue, especially male mental health. In fact, in November, we are trying to speak to the First Lady also about this, because she's also championing this thing for mental health awareness. And male mental health, because there's a lot of events for women, but we don't have, as men, they tell you that, no, you're a man, grow up. Men don't cry and all these things. But in fact, there's a conversation that needs to be had regarding mental health as well. And then that's why we do this. So what we do is we make a painting together. I've been making them and we do sell them, and then the funds we get from them, we put it in mental health awareness. But now we started this podcast. It's been 2 weeks now. We've had 4 guests. You're the 4th guest. And what we do is that we make a painting with the guest. It goes into the collection. By the end of the season, we're going to collect all the paintings and we're going to put them up for auction. We're still in talks with a few sponsors to have a host and a venue, and then everyone will be invited. and people will put bids on it, and then the money raised from it, 100%. Like we don't take a commission, not even like for the paints or anything. The equipment is sponsored by Aero Media. There's Studio Apps. All these companies, they are sponsored most of the stuff. So we don't take money. Like if, for example, if this goes for $100, $100 goes to mental health awareness. It's not like I keep 20 for this or what for that. No. It's 100% like that. Clean.
Okay.
So I want to ask you, like, I'm probably sure that you're gonna choose red, but what other color do you like?
Especially red, black.
Red, black. Okay.
Red, black. Yeah, those are the main colors.
Red, black. Let's make something red and black then.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna use one glove. I normally just use one glove. I've got a disposable one for you.
Okay.
These are for me, this is like a regular thing. So I've got one, but I like having the feel of the paints. And then we've got one red here. I'm gonna give you this one for you, and then we're gonna start doing the painting. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna paint here. We're gonna put down the colors that we put first are the ones that we're gonna peel it off also later on. So the one that we lay above them, we're gonna come up. So I have one orange red and you have a fluorescent red over there. So we can start putting layering the paint down now.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll just follow me like this, and then you'll do it as well. And then you do it again. Layer them on top of each other, because
lay on top.
Yeah, we want layers. Elias, can you pass me some papers from there also? There's some old newspapers and stuff. And then I'm adding this another color. You can add a layer on top of this, because remember the red is bottom, so it's gonna be the one that comes out. Yeah. Give me the paper. All right. Now you can put more. If you want.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there any other color that you see you like? You can add also. There's post office red there.
Okay.
And then we've got this also here. You can add, the more layers you add are the variety of colors that are gonna pop out. You see, it's not like the art that you do with brushes, where you spend 3 days making something. This is very fast and it's enjoyable. And when you take it home, you're gonna be like, no, I'm the one who did it. It was done with my own hand, right? And then now I'm gonna give you. I want you to squeeze this thing, like, make it, yeah, like that. Right. Now after that, this is what we are gonna use to make the pattern here. And then we're still gonna add some paint. We're not done yet. I want you to do that also on that side. Yeah. Do it. And then just follow what I did also. Yeah. And then you peel it out. Yeah, you see how these are the patterns that you are making. And then we're gonna add some black in the middle here. Now we're gonna add some. I want you to do that in the middle now. Same thing. Yeah.
Same.
You just paste it down first, and then use the back of your hand. It will be much better. Yeah. It will make better patterns like that. There you go. And then now you peel it out. This is you making the patterns. You see them?
Okay.
You see my chief?
Yeah.
You can see we are getting somewhere now. We are not there yet. Now, we're gonna have this as our stencil to put in the circle. So we're gonna see that we still have some edges that we can put in some colors. So we're gonna put. Let me add a little bit on this side. You can add another layer there also. Wherever I'm putting, you can add a layer, because remember we need layers. Okay. Nice. Whichever colors you like, you can add them. Okay, now you do it again. I think now you've got the idea. Yeah, there we go. That is it. That's good. Right. Now, there you go. Yeah. So these are the patterns that we have made. Because there's a lot of different designs, but normally with the guest I try to make the pattern that is the simplest. This is the basic pattern that I started with when I started this journey. Now I want to make 2 of them. This is not done yet. We're gonna let this dry. while we do another one here, because I want you to take one for your home. We're gonna make, now you can choose either the same or different colors. I want to give you some ideas. You see, these are some of the wax.
Okay.
Depending on the colors that you choose, you know, these are some of the things that you can,
Okay.
you know, these are some of the paintings. You can add green and yellow. I know those are not your party colors. This one will take us an hour. This one will take a long time, but the one with one planet are the easiest to do. So if you can take some inspiration here, and you can go on. What color would you prefer?
Okay. Let's see, what is this?
There's gold,
gold.
there's green, there's yellow, there's fluorescent yellow here, there's light blue.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you've got the idea, so I'm gonna let you. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Now what other color?
The blue is fine.
The blue is fine. Okay. Let's. Let me add another color also. The more colors you have, the more it becomes brighter. It becomes like the layers are pretty good when there's different colors. And then this is black also. This one looks interesting. And then we still have to peel it off. We have to do it while it's wet. Alright. Okay, there you go. You should use the back of the hand. And now you've taken, I think now you're gonna take my job now. You're gonna be interviewing people now. I'm gonna be jobless. Wow, this one is interesting. This one is quite interesting. I like your take. I like your take. Don't worry, Chief. I know it doesn't seem like, let them dry now. Now we're gonna wait for them to dry. We can continue our discussion while they dry.
Yeah.
And then when they are done, we will be adding the background afterwards.
Okay.
As Chief. So you were telling me that you wanted to discuss about your journey.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. You know, the law. People, if you look at people, especially in the West, a lot of the political leaders, you find them, they have background in law. Law, it exposes you to people's difficulties. Because especially when you are one who represents people, even when you do commercial law, where there's really no a victim of violation of rights, you get exposed to the needs of people. So that's why you find that you know, people who come from this background have an affinity. They, even when I was at the university, I found a lot of people in SRC would be people.
You were in the SRC.
I was in the SRC. I quit halfway because it was interfering with my studies. I thought it was, you know, I was with the likes of Rama Otwana were there, but I was not prepared to.
During your time, was Reboko there also?
He was a lecturer.
Oh,
yeah,
he was your senior.
Yeah, he has taught me before.
Oh, okay.
So it was interfering with my studies. You know, there was too much commitment. It was expected of you to place it above all else. But you know, I thought, no, that's not what I came to university for. I came to obtain an education, and it's on taxpayers' money.
And you were sponsored by DTO.
But yes, but if I focus, there was really no struggle in the country. Where, like in South Africa, where people abandoned a lot of economic pursuits in order to throw their weight behind the struggle. There was no struggle. So we weren't in a position where it could justify one throwing the entire commitment to a political cause. So you know, it was too demanding. You know, we had Professor Sharon Sivers at the time, who was the Vice Chancellor. Always meetings and less and less study. So I thought, no.
Was there backing from the main party at the time to you guys?
No, I wasn't even at the time. I wasn't even into full politics. You know, I was recruited to SRC by the late Mtimkulu. Yeah, it was opposition at the time. I wasn't a member of the GS26. And these guys called me because I was a very popular person in the university. I had lots of friends. You know, I was a socialite, and sometimes you have an impression upon people that you don't see, but you know, they tell you that you have such a phenomenal impression upon us. I didn't see it, but
no, I believe you.
But you could tell by The number of times you walk around the university, every third person wants to greet
They'll
you.
just be there.
Yeah, wants to greet you, wants to greet you. It gives you an idea that you know, unbeknown to you, you must have impacted these people's lives one way or the other. So they approached me, and I was in no politics, no party, not a member of any. They said to me, come and stand with us in come and stand with us in this in these elections. So I agreed. My campaigns manager at the time, Benson Puteho, was there. So I was really brought into it by Mtimkulu. He's the one who was really instrumental.
So was there ever a time when you were part of the opposition also?
No, I never became a part of it. I became. There was a time when I became anti. When I really got to a position
because
that
as students we are rebels, we want to go against authority.
Against authority. Again, there's always matches about one grievance or the other. Every attempt that every opportunity to take to the streets, you want to seize upon it. But as I say, I was never really a staunch politician at the time. That's why I found it very easy to leave. To leave, it was not something I was going to cling on to. A choice between that and education. Chose education. So I turned my back to it, much to the disappointment of a lot of students. But guys who were overly committed, they were not finishing. They were not finishing at the university.
It affected their performance.
Ramatwana was not finishing. I don't know when he finished. A lot of them were not finishing.
And at UB, it's 5 years for law, isn't it?
5 years for law. You're given sponsorship. If you goof on the sponsorship, you may lose it.
Oh,
I think they give you
the FD, and then after
that, they give you two more options. I think. If you don't seize upon them, they don't sponsor you anymore. So, it's very important. Your priorities must be right. I was prepared to work for the SRC, provided they didn't place it above education. Give it time. But once you now elevate it above what you really came there for, then it becomes a non-starter. So I left. But there I was, and after I left, I never got into politics. I was just a voter. As a voter, yes, there was a time when I didn't quite like the BDP when Khama came in. When Khama came in, I didn't quite like the BDP because, firstly, he troubled us a great deal. When we were confronted with the problem of flying aircrafts. I remember the beginning of, I think he was a vice president then, beginning of trouble. The late
he was the youngest lieutenant general. That 23 years old he became the.
We had Lethebe Maine. Lethebe Maine was the ombudsman, a Bakgatla man. So obviously, a Bakgatla man of that stature, you will never question when he's aggrieved. You never have doubts. So he was forever mourning, aggrieved by Khama, and because of our association with him, would readily side with him on that grievance. So we were troubled at the time, and then we had the DRS being born.
It was like, I think 08 or something.
When DRS was born, I think when it was born, I was now out of UB. I was practicing with my brother. We were up against it. There was no reason at the time we thought for the intelligence to be formed. So we were one of those who really stood up against the legislation of the DRS. We were practitioners at the time, but it went ahead. As time went, we saw how it was being used, and we really thought.
But wouldn't you say that when that was established, whoever the person was establishing it, they abused it? And then that person is no longer there, and then there is a new management. Do you not think that the new management is, if the previous management was able to use it for their benefit, as human being, as human nature, if you have access to the tools, that's what the thing is out there in the media right now. That's what the oppositions are. Like every time whoever is in the opposition has that right now to say, or no, this institution that was established is used for their personal gain.
If you have burnt fingers with an institution, even when there's a change of guard, you can't forget what the institution has done. I was a practitioner, and obviously by virtue of ethics, I can't divulge who I was representing. When the DIS got on our way, when the DIS got on our way, they got on our way, interfering with private litigation. Many a times, during those years, and I was frustrated.
Are they allowed to, or that's not allowed?
No, it's not allowed. You can't do that. Yeah.
Because even at once I heard they went to the Michi offices. There was a time when they did
intimidating the court officials, intimidating the registrar, intimidating judges at the time, where you just see that this judge is, after all, a well-meaning judge.
What is the recourse? What if you, as a legal practitioner, let's say you were still in that position, what is your recourse? What can you do?
It's the courts, but if the courts are afraid,
or even the courts don't do anything.
If courts are afraid, we are all in trouble.
Isn't we have the executive and the judiciary? Yes. They are two different.
Yes, but if the courts are afraid, we are in trouble. Back then, the courts were afraid. I would appear before them, and these guys would be all over. They would intimidate. They would be in contempt of court. They would stand on the way of implementation of court orders, executions. It was quite bad, So we didn't like it. We really did not like it. But when you look side by side as to, even if you don't like it, who then do you like? Or you like neither. Or you like neither. Opposition, there was a time when I really felt, because I felt affected, personally affected, and I rightly or wrongly, I attributed. My late father died quite an angry man. Wasn't a very pleased person. He was no longer holding Kgatleng meetings as often as before. No more initiation school.
And that we stopped long ago.
Yeah, right? There was a time when he was really threatened during the Sahametsi riots. I was at school.
Was it 2011? Was it? When was
2000? I can't remember what it was. I was at school at the time. He was really threatened. He felt threatened. Because there was chaos in the village. It was chaotic. A lot of people, he was a chief, he was a khosi, he was trying to prevent people who have not gone through trial being publicly persecuted, who were alleged to have been, the behind Hamis. Isaac Davis was one of them.
You know the nickname they have for him?
Forgotten bastard. Yeah.
You know what he once told my dad? Like, he openly said, "I'm gonna cheat you. Don't do business with me. I will cheat you." He said that to my dad straight up.
Yeah, Makalo was also there, but these are people who hunted with him. He used to go hunting with them, so I knew them as his. Whenever he goes hunting, he would assemble these kind of people to accompany. So Morafi was trying to they were trying to publicly persecute him. I think they burnt his house, if I'm not mistaken.
They burned?
Yeah, I think so. I think they sought to burn Isaac Davis's property. There was a threat to go and burn at the royal residence, So my brothers, I came back from school, I found them armed. And
remember, you had the ANC experience.
I found them armed with hunting rifles. Asked them, guys, why are you armed in the home? You are slinging on your shoulders rifles. Why? They said to me, there's a threat to come and burn the residence, so we are going to open fire. We are going to prepare to open fire.
And even that time, the police didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, Masira was the president. He sent out the police. That's how we then lost the kid. The police came. They fought. They tried to suppress the riots, and the riots were escalating. And then I think in the course of it, a kid was shot. Though he was shot, and most unfortunate. But I think what ultimately brought about peace, the old man. Yeah.
Let's. I think we can now do the end part of this also.
He brought about regiments. He called them to where we assemble when there's a problem. He told every parent to discipline bring their child to order. So that's when they stopped, and it all looked like opposition driven.
So this fight that you have been having, it's been going for a while, and you have seen things already. You have already seen all this. So it's not new for you. It's not new for you. When you see this, you are like, I've already seen it all. Now we're just making the backdrop of this. You did want black though. You did mention you wanted black also. And the black is the sky that we are making. You see why I was saying outside would have been, But don't worry, if they have the mask on, you should be fine. You know, in my school times, there used to be this thing whereby kids used to, that side by Notwan, where the river ends, or is it like the riverbed or something? They would go there, they would buy glue, they would put in chibuku boxes, school kids, young kids, they would put it in chibuku boxes, and they would be sniffing. And you know, that thing, not only is it bad because it's drugs and whatnot, but it affected their brains. They ended up in Sabran. And you know that in Kgatleng we have a lot of disabled kids.
Yeah.
Even the visually impaired, we have a visually impaired center also. Even our schools are there, but there is a lot of that in Kgatleng, and we try our best to do what we can about it. But what I have noticed is that in other places, right? If you look at other countries, they get a lot of funding, they get a lot of resources to attend specially for the special ed. Now, if we go to our special ed school and a normal school, it's the same. We don't have the special, like, we are not attending to them. Yes, I schooled hand in hand with them. It's now that they separate. Even then, I had to learn Braille so that the person I sit next to, I can
teach.
Yeah, I can speak
Assist.
while they are. Yeah, and if they cannot do, then I can. Because some of them were not only visually impaired, some of them had problems with their hands, with their legs also. So we had to, you know, those green boards, we had to learn the Braille thing. But I think the government needs to invest. They need to invest more in this sector. Especially since you are also from Kgatleng and you know about this more than I do. For me, it's more like a personal thing because that's why, you know, when I was telling you, when Sabaka came, I took her to that school. Because for me, that school was like my home, you know. Growing up, I never had a place to call home, like somewhere which was constant. Always be moving around. So for me, schools were like homes, you know. Now for the children, now imagine for the children who are like boarding there, and then that is actually their home. For them, they don't know anywhere else to go. So I think this is something that, not as a minister, but as someone from Kgatleng, as someone, I think you can take up in your next portfolio. You know, maybe we can do something for our schools, because those kids are staying there. Those kids are boarding there. That's their life. They have nowhere to go. If we can't do anything, at least we can try and make it a little bit better. We can give them a game room. Maybe we can introduce the technologies we have now. We can give them access to I don't know, new things, new gadgets and whatnot. I believe that after I left my senior, I was told that nowadays they even have laptops, which is a very good initiative. But I think the first step was to teach them before handing them. Like, I cannot give you a gun before teaching you how to operate it. You might even hurt yourself. And that's the negative, because I spoke to some of my teachers, and they were even telling me that, you know, that the thing that they introduced with this laptop thing, it's backfiring. Because now the kids, instead of now focusing on the study, because they've got the what's it called, Bosnet, or the free
Wi-Fi,
the Wi-Fi. So they've got that, they've got the devices, and now they are going haywire with this thing. It should be that, just like the electric vehicle thing. It's a step-by-step thing. We can't push the kids directly, like, okay, there you have it now, go and do what you know. It should be a step-by-step thing. But it's a very good initiative, because I remember during my time when I had to write my papers, I had to go to the computer lab, I had to go to my HOD's office to borrow their computer. But not every student thinks like that. There are some who are going to watch movies on those computers. There are some who are going to download funny things and games and whatnot. And now we used to have 1 hour study time. Now imagine now with their laptops. Imagine what they are doing with that study time. It's a concerning thing. Am I right, Chief?
Yeah.
And you might say, why is this boy talking about school a lot? I mean, for me, I still consider myself a student. I still consider myself a student.
Even reading, you know, we're in a new era, in a new age. Reading is not longer done. Reading is no longer done.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And our library, Chief, since my primary days, my primary school was Singwang Primary. Since those days, it has been the same. Why is there no improvement? You are a lawyer. This is your field, in fact. In fact, you know the importance of having up-to-date literature. If you look at those books, I don't know if you have been, but there's been no update. And what about the local authors? The first guest that I had, he's also an advocate. He was also a lawyer. I used to school with the guy, and he has written 3 books. And he was telling me how difficult it is to push them into the system. Because I don't know why, but the Ministry of Youth is also not like it. There was a time when they were doing something, but then it started lacking. And you know, there's been ups and downs. You know, Chief, I am a bit biased towards you, obviously, because you're my chief and everything. But at the same time, when there is like these things, I'm showing it to you also. And I believe that when you get there also, maybe you can even tell them that, Moran, boy, this thing, you need to address.
To attend.
Yeah, because we are the future. The kids are the future.
But you know, the literacy rate is very low. It's very low. People don't read. You know, experiences sometimes when people, you know, they have a set of documents or documents look into them like court documents, and I'll be on the, you know, maybe on the wheel somewhere very far. They'll say to me, MP, I've got this on my hands, and I'll try to get them, because I'm so distant, get them to read them out to me, so I understand what it is. They will then have difficulty in just reading. So,
just reading documents.
I ask them, read the first line. Can't read the first line. Huh? So go to the top of the page, you know, look for this particular word. Either in the magistrate's court or high court, they can't find that word. You see, and I then realized that, hey, man, there's a lot of work. You got to restore literacy. Yeah, yes, people are blaming education. Say, well, the education system is colonial. It was meant to make you a worker, not an entrepreneur. But it is that education system, which, you know, you find a lot of people who emerge out of it unable to read and write properly. Yeah, read and write properly. I've had guys who have dropped out of school, as many people do, but at least haven't gone to Form 5. And I'd ask them, read something here for me. They'll struggle.
Struggle to read.
Yeah, struggle to read, yeah.
That is something that, you know, I realized that government education is looked down upon. But I went to government school, like PSLE, JCB, GCSE, government throughout. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. If you have the determination to study.
You must continue, sir.
Yeah.
You know, once you leave, if you maybe drop out of Form 5 and then you abandon, you're going to be in trouble. You must continuously educate yourself. Even me outside university, I have to continuously read. For me to be able to grasp things quickly and be sharp, speak and span, not take up too much time to understand. I must constantly read. And I do read a lot. I read across not just legal material, but across around everything else. Science, read about it, food production, farming.
Now I've got, now we're coming to the end of our session soon. I've got something for you. It's actually something, since, you know, it's a good thing because you said you are a farmer also, you know. This is a little token of appreciation. I want you to open it. I want you to open it. Yeah, you might be surprised what's inside. Open it, Chief.
I always carry a knife, and I say to my team here, I'm not encouraging, you know, daggers, people dagging each other.
You can look on the other side.
Okay.
Custom. I did
Thank
it
you.
myself.
Custom made. Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot, man.
I hope I got.
Yeah, you've got it right. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah. And I want you to put your initials with the knife. No, you use the knife. Let me do so that you will see. Let me do that, you will see. We can try. What we do is at the end of this, we just put our initials, or you can put your signature. Okay. And then you can try. If it's difficult, we can use a pen. It's not a problem. But I think it's better with this.
From this corner here.
Yeah, the sharp edge.
Try. And that's how I usually do it.
And then this is the one that you are taking home.
Okay.
You can see now.
Show the kids.
Yeah. This is what you're gonna take home, and my auntie is gonna see this and she's gonna frame it.
Okay.
I'm sure she's gonna frame it. She likes art.
Okay.
She's gonna frame this one. This one's going home with you. And then this is the one that is gonna go into the auction. Okay. We can put ours on this also. No, you can go ahead. Are you gonna be coming for the auction?
Yeah, certainly. Give me a date.
Well, it's gonna be at the end of the season. We still have a lot of guests, and we are in talks with our first lady also. She actually helped us. She was not even the first lady at the time. She helped us raise 40K for my prize giving at Naledi Senior.
What do you think the reserve prize would be?
We decide that actually. Like every artist, I mean, like as in the guest and that, we decide that how much are you willing to pay for that, if you will. So then, like for example, like this painting now, we're gonna show it to this, and then we can say, okay, like Kgatleng, if you were to bid on this, what would your reserve price be? What would you bid for it? No, I'm asking you.
I'm asking me.
Yeah.
Man, that's what I was asking you. What the reserve price would be. I don't want to embarrass myself with a very poor price.
Okay, what would you pay for it? Because that would be the price you would pay. If no one else bids for it, you take it then. How much would you spend on it?
A couple of thousands, man.
Don't say too much. What if other people will say that? Nah, I don't want to spend too much. Then you will have to pay.
You'll have to pay for the reserve price. I mean, this is art. To be honest, I have no idea, because even the artwork which I buy from
you can say any number.
But the artwork I buy from people, I think they're underpriced. A lot of
Is it?
Botswana people who are underpriced.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Very
You
true.
know, they would sell to you. They'll say, you know, take it for 5, take it for 200. I say, man.
Since you're an MP, I'm expecting 4 figures then.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. You can give us a number and we put that. So, ladies and gentlemen,
2 grand.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 grand is the reserve price for this painting. It'll be up at the end of the season, and when anyone wants to get it before that, you can DM us and let us know. You can DM us on Insta, on TikTok, and you can bid higher than that. At the auction, everyone can come through, and Kgatleng will be taking it for 2. If you want to take it off of his hands, you're gonna have to pay more than that. And remember, guys, 100% of the proceeds go to mental health awareness. So we don't take a cut. You're not going to take a commission or anything. If you pay 2 goes to mental health awareness. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, for Chief. And it was lovely having you. Can we have a picture of you holding the thing?
Certainly. Let me just
No, we can sit and we can hold the thing. We can hold the thing.
There.
Yeah. Can you get the engraving?
The engraving.
Are you able to
part?
see it? No. You're not able to, you can zoom in. No, I mean with the camera, you can zoom in with the camera. Let me hold it on one side also. I hope you like it.
Like knives. When you're the last few initiation schools by my brother had knives because it's so convenient. You have a knife.
Yeah. So normally everyone is having the copy, I guess.
Yeah, men should be carrying them, but we know that some are not responsible. They'll then dagger others with them.
That's what happens.
When you're working, you readily pull out a knife. Sometimes others come to you when you have a knife, say,
"Man, did you get it?
Lend me a knife." I say, "No, man, you can't lend you a knife."
Imagine if he uses it,
doesn't come back. Doesn't come. So I'm always carrying it. When only time I don't carry a knife is when I'm in formal clothing.
Oh yeah, no, obviously. And Chief, why do you carry the what's it called? The fanny bag.
I have a bag which I can sling over my chest.
No, but I mean,
this one,
yeah,
it's convenient to me. I don't drop phones. I put my phones in here.
You're having a foldable now. I mean, it's easier in the pocket.
No, it's not easier in the pocket. The pockets become. I'm a person who likes tight clothes. You can't put so many things in a pocket.
Now I want to do it.
And then I don't want to put things on the back because people steal on the back. So either here in the front, and I don't have capacity in the front. That's why I then carry this.
I hear you.
But it helps me from dropping a phone, because when you put things in the pockets, phones especially, I've not dropped my phone ever. No?
Me, I've dropped. This is 5 years old. You can see how damaged it is. That one's the new one. That one is still not yet damaged. But Chief, so at the end of the session, we have a rapid question answer thing. You give me a 30-second answer. I give you a question. Whatever comes to your mind first.
Okay.
So it'll be some of the things regarding your ministry or anything, you can give me whatever comes first to you. If some of them you don't want to, you can be like, okay, next, you can just say that one. All right. So recently we have had a lot of information coming in regarding the growth of lab-grown diamonds and how best can we diversify our economy to challenge with this, to cope with this challenge.
We need to manufacture. We need to manufacture. We also need to grow our food production capacity because those have the potential to export. Every economist will tell you that if you don't export, you are doomed.
Okay.
So yeah.
Next question is about relating to your ministry because of it, it's about trade and imports. What about what can we do? I know that we have done the vegetable ban, but regarding helping exports of Botswana products, because there's a lot of youth products in the country, how best can we assist as the Minister of Trade, is there any initiatives that are there that can help push the youth product outside instead of importing? How can we best export? Are there ways where we can reduce tariffs and whatnot?
Yeah, we need to be competitive because the market is determined. They speak for themselves. You can't quite dictate how they should function. So we need. I passed the policy before on quality. The greater the quality, the more attractive your products become, and you don't have to do much for your products to enter these other markets. But what we do in terms of exporting, we came up with the AFCFTA, which is going to be tariff-free.
The free trade agreement.
And then we've also got African growth and
we got SACU as well for a long time.
We had SACU before, which has its ups and downs at present, but it does a large part of our revenue comes from it. But it does have its ups and downs. It came from the apartheid era when it was
It was actually our president who championed it. Even the SADC thing, it was BW that was pushing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But SACU came along, I think, in 1910 when SACU started.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 1910. It has always been a means, a way of, having a trade hub within the Southern African region.
But does it benefit us? Is it that you feel like
to the extent
others are benefiting more than BW?
We have a grievance with South Africa, which we are not overcoming it. We have an agreement which they are not complying with. That agreement was meant for SACU to become altogether transparent and to be not controlled by one of the members by a specialized unit. But that hasn't seen the light of day. It's still under South African control. Right. But our revenue, but 30% of our revenue comes from it. So it's a little bit of Eswatini. They take much of the revenue, more than that. So it's a bit of a problem. Small, a problem. If the source of revenue, you turn your back on, or you want to abandon, you're gonna have an immediate monumental problem.
Now, I wanna.
It's a source of revenue.
I apologize. I'm cutting because it was supposed to be a rapid thing. Okay. It's like we go back and forth. All right. So now the BDP has faced some recent allegations. How do you handle with criticism and staying focused on your goals and your constituents?
Well, criticism will always be there. So it's not a recent factor. In a democratic setup, you got to expect diverse thoughts. Not every thought will be aligned with you. Others will think differently, but you've got to embrace them. There are some criticisms which you can learn from. They come and they're really an eye opener to you, because you would have not seen things with the same prism as those who are criticizing, and then you find that it may well be a cause to follow. But I don't think the criticisms are sufficiently massive for us to change our whole policy position. And they are there. They feed into a democracy. That's how it's made up. You feed into
it's healthy to
it's healthy to have this kind of criticism.
Okay. Now, finally, what's one message you'd like to give to young Botswana, especially those who might be facing tough times or considering a future in leadership?
Hey, they must pursue skills acquisition. They must pursue knowledge. What I've noticed is a lot of failures caused by the fact people are not skilled. They do not have the knowledge. They attempt things which they would have not got the training for, and then they collapse. They set up businesses, absolutely no training in anything, including marketing, and sometimes even without training of the scientific work which goes behind the product, which they're trying to sell out to the public. And a lot of them end up, hiring experts and not even know what it takes to hire.
And we have this issue of fronting that has been going on.
Fronting is there also, but where I see lack of knowledge is in the farming sector. We have a lot of people who are farming, but they themselves don't know anything about farming, so they then employ Zimbabwean managers. That is an indication of lack of knowledge.
But we need to change that.
We need to change it. That's why I say skills. Artisans in the country, plumbers, that's Zimbabweans. And that's because our own are not skilled. Even when you go to labor here in Mochudi to go and look for employees, they'll tell you that you're not going to get any in the farming sector. Ask them why. They said, well, they don't know anything about farming. So we need to acquire that skill. We need to acquire the marketing skill, management skills. All of those you will find in many, really lacking. That's why sometimes the programs are rolled out. The success of the programs not so being great. You got to go to the root cause, which is precisely what I'm saying about the training, and they don't give there are some who they are predisposed to alcohol, and I drive around the village. I see daylight people sitting under trees having chibuk and consuming.
And in Kgatleng this thing is like prominent.
Yeah, that's labor. I see labor. I see people who have potential to be taught to and do something. But obviously, it's a double-edged sword, because.
But do you think it's more like we need to have that, like Jakarta are changing mindset? Because, you see them on the streets, and they have potential, but they're now drinking and just lying around instead of using that.
The manager of the facility or the owner of the facility who benefits out of that drinking also has his or her own argument that you're killing my business. For instance, I'd go to B6, where I've been there. Yeah. So you got to set foot in every.
I mean, you are a minister, so I never pictured you going there.
Well, how else are you gonna know how people are living if you don't go there?
You're very humble,
Yeah.
I've noticed. You're very humble.
Go and sit around them and hear them, listen to them, see the caliber of people who come there. So I see that it's a business which attracts a lot of such large crowds of people. But it's yes, it's entertainment, but it's really very regressive on our people, because they then don't spend time learning and acquiring skill. But if you were to preach that, then it also harms the owner of the business, because he needs more people. He needs more people coming.
I mean,
there
it
and
should be in
working.
moderation.
It should be in moderation. But after elections, we'll have a discussion about this, because
will I even see you afterwards?
Yes, yes.
You'll be hard to find once you start the session of parliament. Then you'll be busy.
Yeah, people, they complain. They say that we have a lot of foreigners in reserved activities. Who are not supposed to be there. But these foreigners, they come and they see the landscape being a land of honey, which provided for by the BDP government. But our own kith and kin don't see it as a land of honey. So they see it as a land of honey. That's why they achieve so much. There are plenty of businesses around Mochudi. All of them foreign owned. I walk into them to buy one thing and the other foreign owned. And you don't see these people who own them. You don't see them at Chibuku depots. Mandela, when he came out of prison, I was still I think I was doing standard 7. He said, "Guys, we fought the freedom. We're going for elections in 1994." As they were negotiating, he said, "But there's more work that you need to do. You need to come out of shebeens. You need to come out of drinking halls if you really want to take control of this economy. If you stay there and you continue having your courts and all, rest assured that the economy will still be in the hands of whites." And indeed, it will.
But Chief, even right now, you and I both know the few people that are controlling so many sectors of the. We'll talk about it off camera, but you know this.
Yep.
And I've been, I have friends. We grew up together. We struggle together, so we know what it likes. Seeing them with their monopoly. The thing is, I'm not against capitalism. There should be fair competition. Not monopolies. Not one guy owning, everything, and then him having the power to buy you out now. So there is no competition. Even if you look at the Tuli block there, all those farms. My question is always like, ask them how they got it. How did they acquire it? Where did they? Who did they buy it from? It's
the acquisitions sometimes are questionable. But the point I'm making is we need to leapfrog in terms of our skills. Yeah, we need to leapfrog, because even outside, because I travel a lot in trade, I don't find Botswana out there. They are just here at home, but not going out there. So you're gonna have a problem if we are not stern in skills acquisition and becoming competitive, and all the time carrying people in wheelbarrows. We are not going to withstand competition. So there are some Botswana who penetrate, and you see.
But the ones that go out don't come back. That's the problem. Because the whole Top Achievers program, most of like the 3 guys, three of them. I'm the only one who's here. The other 2 guys, I don't want to say their names, but one is still in Scotland, the other one is still in Canada. Even one of the most the Rhodes Scholarship is the most prestigious. There's one Botswana who got that, and that person is still not here. So the ones we send outside are not coming back.
But the point I'm making is, I can relate even to house helpers. I've got a house helper, and I've tried to teach her how to drive, because it's a skill which I think in this day and era nobody should be without it. But there are a lot of, even here in my campaign's office, there are a lot of women here who don't know how to drive.
See that?
Yeah, plenty of them. It's a basic skill.
Yeah, indeed, it is.
But we are critically short of it. But you find a house helper who's Zimbabwean. They come, they drive.
And they drive properly, like they know
they see the importance of acquiring the skill. So we have that challenge of not taking acquisition of skills seriously. So we're gonna have to, in this term, really be resolute about it, because even these programs, there are plenty. I can tell you, without properly acquiring skill, more than half of them are going to fail. You've got chama, you've got the molototlo, you've got tuoletotlo.
But I believe a lot of funds were already disseminated.
But
so what are the results? Are there any statistics?
The people who are holding them don't acquire the skill, or they don't prioritize their priorities are elsewhere. They will collapse. Those many programs have collapsed, not because of government's failure, but because the people into whose hands they went. They look at FAP long back then. We are still not a a serious cattle or small stock producing country, but yet there was that program. Sometimes I ask those who managed it at the time, say, no, the rate of failure to pay back was overwhelming, and so we need to.
I mean, BMC tries though.
Yeah, we need to the skills. That's what is important. You see, once you are skilled, things become easy to do. I see for myself, people think sometimes they ask me, man, why is it so easy for you to figure out a little problem, a legal matter? It's because of the skill. If I had not had
and
the
you
skill,
also have experience.
Yeah, if I had not have the skill, I would spend hours trying to figure it out because I don't have it. It applies everywhere else. Whether you are in any sector, in farming, if you don't have the skill, I tell you, the prospects or chances of you goofing are so high. So we got to work on this. People must, that's why we formed the Ministry of Entrepreneurship. That's where the skills are going. But even those who are given the education, they must embrace it. There are a couple of BDP cadres here who, I've long known, and I see them living and are struggling. I'm going to try to send them to school. I'm not saying that school is the gate opener to everything else. There's some people who are very successful, never set foot in class.
But knowledge is important.
Yeah, but overwhelming success, much of it comes from when you are actually, Zimbabweans acquired knowledge and skill. That's why you find that the ones who do plumbing here, they're the ones who
and they have this where they MacGyver. They have a solution to every problem. They find a way. They always find a way.
The ones who are doing the welding, they do simple things. But you take a Bakgatla, try to get them who just left Molifi and nothing more. You may find that the skill is not there, and so if you don't, if also you are not able to read and write, you're not gonna find solutions because.
So what can we do, like on the ground action? What action do we take for to change this?
We got to compel. I think I don't know. We got to compel reading. We got to compel it. Not, it can't just be a choice. Me, I can tell you the schools I went to, they were largely British oriented, and I must say to you that I was very happy in the culture there. It compelled reading, it compelled writing, so it was an everyday thing. That's why you find that your vocabulary then becomes good, and the results are there. The more reading you do, the better even the easier it is for you to read documents. You don't find them challenging. Even myself, if I stay for weeks on end without reading, sometimes on account of other work which takes me away from it, it becomes first time I try to read. It's a little bit of a challenge.
What is your recommendation right now? What are you on? Which book are you on right now?
Well, I read a lot of law books because I don't want to remain behind. I don't want to remain behind as and when.
Even now, are you still practicing? Or?
No, I'm not practicing, but I read the material when it comes out because I don't want to. I know that I'm not going to be in politics forever. Where I'm going to ultimately meet my death is while practicing, because there you can work up until you're very old. There was, I don't know if you remember, the oldest member of the bar, I think he was Sydney Wolf Kentridge, who represented a lot of South Africans who were in the struggle. Very old, but he made his last appearance, I think, in a British court. He was in his close to 100. So it's those kind of professions where
there's no retirement age
in professions.
Even in our country, there's no retirement
age. Retirement is in government. When you're working for government, that's when you must retire. But a professional, you don't have to retire.
Even politics, you don't have to retire, right?
Politics, you'll be running a dangerous game if you don't prepare yourself.
It's like 50-50, because every 5 years you gotta.
If you don't prepare, you got to remain self-sustaining, because otherwise a lot of politicians become immediate paupers when they leave office, because they become preoccupied with serving government, preoccupied with receiving as a payment from government, and forgetting to be self-sustaining. The moment they get out of this, they realize for the first time that they're not self-sustaining. They want to come back. They want the laws to be passed, to be given allowances and that, And well, I'm a Democrat. Even if I don't agree with that, if it's a popular position, laws will be passed for people to be given allowances.
That was reversed. I get it, that one.
But you are really fostering a culture of dependence. We really should get away from it. So
is there any last appeal?
This time around, we are going for elections. I really appeal for them, obviously, to vote for the BDP. I don't think this country is ready to be led by opposition at present, especially, hearing what they say they're going to do.
I feel like there's a lot of xenophobia that's going around with the whole Zimbabwean thing they're talking about.
That's one of the reasons why I don't have an affinity for opposition, because they peddle things which are not true, and I just feel horrified that imagine a leadership being under a leadership which is capable of peddling things which are not true. There's a lot that will be put at risk of. I think there's a lot which will be put at risk of. Even here in Mochudi, I listen to the speakers, because these guys who are standing for parliament themselves, they're speaking. I hear them and I pass by, making threats, making that, and including also pulling down my posters. I don't pull out that posters. None of my cadres here are pulling down posters. So you imagine a government of such people is really one which we need to be afraid of. And I'm not saying that the BDP, is flawless. It's got its own flaws here and there. Everybody, even the Kgosi, have their own flaws. But you look at what is substantially, they've kept the ship. Since coming in 1966, we always kept the ship afloat. We've never really taken a nosedive. I also compare with other African countries, remain nameless. Every African country that has been written about, they've taken a nosedive from when the colonial government officials left. But
Botswana is set as an example.
We haven't. We haven't. Yes, the critics there, the likes of Kenneth Good, I know he was a critic of our economy, the way in which we handle our economy, but all others say, guys, Botswana. We've not seen that in Botswana. So I really ask for a vote from my people to vote across the whole country in all four corners to vote in for the BDP. I'm not ready. These guys are likely to fight also. And it's very unlikely, given the fact that there's now splits, any one of them to come victorious alone.
Do you ever see a coalition government ever happening? Yeah, like in South Africa, because recently 30 years streak broke in South Africa.
Our constitution, to the best of my recollection, because it doesn't make provision for that.
And there is no option for that.
No,
there is no way that can happen.
A majority.
We are first past the post system.
I'll have to revisit it, because it's not something. But what I'm seeing in the constitution says that the president, whose members of parliament have over a majority. Majority is the one who sits. I don't recall it saying a majority of what percentage. It just says a majority.
I think to win we need 31 seats. I think now it's 60. Isn't it was 50 something? Now it's 63 or something. I forgot.
So I'll look at it again. I can't remember, but I don't seem to find.
I wish you all the best, and I appreciate how you've given me time. You've always honored my request. You've always given me time. I do have my grievances also. The times when you don't come, I do get a little bit mad. But this time around, I'll text Aunt, because she told me you should text him and text me, so that I remind him. If he doesn't come, I'll tell him to come. So thank you so much, my chief.
Thanks.
You've been amazing. Thanks. And I hope you like the one that you're taking home.
Yes, certainly.
I hope you like. I think which one was
yours? Is it dry already? Can I?
Yeah, it's dry now.
But I leave it?
It's like a gimmick. It's like a cute thing we do also at the end of the thing. Where you'll be like, hey, this boy has a lot of toys. You'll be wondering when you're doing a lot of things. So can we just get a picture, and then after that we will print it. Is it this way? Okay. My scrapbook. I have a scrapbook with every. Oh yeah, I almost forgot this part also. So every guest signs a part of the thing. So at the end of this thing, we'll have many signatures on this thing. So you can even put wherever you feel comfortable with. Okay. Oh, okay. You want me to take a picture with it or something? Like you want me to hold it or something? Okay. I'll make one for you as well.
Okay.
It's retro. It's like traditional. Did you get it? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me make one more for you. This one I'll put it in my.
Want to sign in the meantime?
Yeah. Anywhere you feel like. Sean. This guy is from your party, by the way. Sean Minindwa, the youngest BDP candidate. Is it nice or you don't
Yeah,
like it?
no,
It's a
it's
gimmick.
it's
It's a gimmick actually, you know.
Well, it's showing some remarkable technology here. Out of
Let
the
me-
phone and then with that.
It's just brutal.
Yeah.
Today is what's the date, Elias? 28. I should start putting dates now. I realize I didn't put dates. 10, 24.
Okay.
So like by the end of the thing, we are hoping we have enough guests that this is filled with signatures. You know. So we will also put this up when the auction happens. This will be in the background also. I'm trying to. So I didn't say on camera. It's off right now, isn't it? Yeah. No, turn it off now. Off record.